Okay, today we're diving into a really important topic. It's a health condition that acts like a huge warning sign. But here's the crazy part. Millions of people have it and don't even know. We're talking about prediabetes.
So let's just start with a number that's pretty hard to wrap your head around. In the US alone, 98 million adults have prediabetes. But get this, over 80% of them have absolutely no clue. They're just going about their day with a major health risk, and they're completely in the dark.
So that leads to a really direct question, right? It's one we all kind of have to ask ourselves, because knowing the answer, well, that could change everything for your health down the road.
And look, this isn't just happening in one country. This is a silent epidemic that's playing out all across the globe. The numbers just keep ticking up year after year, and that's why you're hearing health organizations really starting to sound the alarm.
I mean, the World Health Organization has put out some pretty stark projections. They're forecasting that if we don't make some serious changes, the number of prediabetes cases is going to double by 2045. That is a huge, huge problem for public health.
So we see how big this issue is, but what are we even talking about? What is prediabetes really? Let's break it down nice and simple.
You know, at its heart, prediabetes is basically exactly what it sounds like. It's the stage before diabetes. It's this gray area where your blood sugar is definitely higher than it should be, but it hasn't quite crossed that line to a full-blown type 2 diabetes diagnosis. Honestly, think of it like the check engine light in your car. It's your body's way of saying, hey, pay attention, something's up.
So how do doctors know where that line is? Well, they use a couple of key tests. There's the fasting plasma glucose, or FPG, that's your blood sugar after you haven't eaten for a while. And there's the HbA1c test, which kind of gives an average of your blood sugar over the last few months. As you can see here, a normal FPG is under 100. Once you're in that 100 to 125 range, that's prediabetes. And anything over 125, that's a diabetes diagnosis. So it's a really clear set of numbers.
So what's actually going on inside your body to cause this? Well, the main culprit is something called insulin resistance. The easiest way to think about it is this. Insulin is like a key that unlocks your body's cells to let sugar in for energy. But with insulin resistance, it's like the locks on your cells get all rusty. The key doesn't work so well, so the sugar can't get in, and it just starts to build up in your blood instead.
And this is why that check engine light is so important. Because if you don't do anything about it, about 70% of people with prediabetes will go on to develop type 2 diabetes. This is that critical moment, that fork in the road, where taking action can completely change what happens next.
Which brings us to the big question. How do you know if this is something you should be worried about? Let's walk through the different risk groups so you can kind of see where you might fit in.
First off, let's just get this out of the way. There are some risk factors that are just part of your story. You can't change them, but just knowing about them is a huge first step in being proactive about your health.
So here are the big three you can't really do anything about. As we get older, especially once we're past 45, our risk just naturally goes up. If you have a parent or a sibling with diabetes, that also seriously increases your chances. And we know from research that some ethnicities, including Asian populations, have a higher genetic risk, sometimes even at a lower body weight.
Okay, but here's the good news. This is where you get to take the steering wheel. Because while you can't change your age or your family tree, there are a bunch of really powerful risk factors that are absolutely 100% within your control.
And here's that list. Being overweight is probably the biggest one. Not getting enough physical activity, we're talking less than 150 minutes a week, is another major factor. Then you've got an unhealthy diet, high blood pressure, and for women, having a history of gestational diabetes during pregnancy or having PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome, also raises the risk. But the best part? Every single one of these is something you can do something about.
So maybe you're listening and nodding along, recognizing some of those risk factors in your own life. What now? Well, this isn't about feeling worried, it's about feeling empowered. So let's talk about the game plan.
First things first, should you go get a test from your doctor? I mean, when you remember that 80% of people have no idea they even have prediabetes, you realize that getting screened is pretty much the only way to know for sure.
And the official guidelines on this are super clear. If you're 45 or older, it's a good idea to get screened. If you're overweight and you have even one of those other risk factors we just talked about, like a family history or you're not very active, you should definitely get screened. And women who've had gestational diabetes in the past, that's another group that really needs to get checked regularly.
Now, whether you find out you have prediabetes or you just want to lower your risk, the science all points to 3 incredibly powerful steps. Number 1, a modest weight loss, just 5 to 7% of your body weight. For many people, that's totally doable. Number 2, getting 150 minutes of moderate exercise every week. Think a brisk walk. And number 3, shifting to a healthier way of eating. Things like the DASH diet or the Mediterranean diet are fantastic examples.
And all of this brings us to what is honestly the most hopeful and important part of this whole story. Getting a prediabetes diagnosis is not a life sentence. It is a window of opportunity. It's your chance to step in and make changes that can literally stop diabetes in its tracks or even reverse the condition entirely.
And this isn't just wishful thinking. We have solid proof. A huge landmark study called the Diabetes Prevention Program found that people who made simple lifestyle changes, just diet and exercise, cut their risk of developing type 2 diabetes by an amazing 58%. That is a massive impact from just changing your daily habits.
And to really put that into perspective, that same study showed that those lifestyle changes were almost twice as effective as the leading diabetes drug metformin. That's incredible. It just goes to show you that for people at high risk, changing what you do every day can be even more powerful than taking a pill.
But of course, there's the other side of the coin. Ignoring that check engine light has real consequences. Even if you never get full-blown diabetes, just having prediabetes on its own increases your risk of a heart attack or stroke by 1.5 times. So the stakes are definitely high.
And that really leaves us right here. Think of prediabetes not as a final destination, but as a fork in the road. It gives you a very clear choice between two different futures for your health. One path leads toward higher risk and more problems, but the other path, that one leads toward prevention and a much healthier life. So the only question left is, which path are you going to choose?